Hey guys, welcome. So I'm just going to do the long answer questions for all those sample tests I gave you to help you study for your midterm. So this was the first one, Unit 1, which was polynomials. We are flipping back to the long answer questions again. We're just going to do those. So, first one, I'm not making you do long division. Synthetic division will work every single time in this course. So you're given this equation. This could also be expressed as a fraction where this is on top of this. And I need to solve it in terms of this. So this is what your final answer should look like pretty much. So synthetic division, I have a +1, I'm going to put in a -1. I have a box, and then I write the coefficient of every term of my polynomial. So it's a cubic, which means I need to have 4 terms there. The first term is 1, whatever's in front of that. I have a 2 in front of my quadratic term. I don't have a linear term, so you have to put in a 0. That's the biggest mistake I see. People forget that 0 there, and they keep doing it. So bring down your 1. 1 times -1 is -1. 2 plus -1 is 1. Okay. So your final answer, we want it in this form. Q of x is whatever I get here. My x squared plus x minus 1. Then I'm putting my remainder over what I divided by. So -15. I'm going to change that positive to a negative where it was -15. You could write plus -15 on the top and then have your x plus 1 on the bottom. So this would be your final answer. Beauty. Same thing, flipping your page. I like the graph questions. So this is saying sketch the graph of this. They were nice because they have it foiled partially. I might not give it to you for it. It could be a quartic, it could be a cubic, it could be a quintic that you have to foil on yourself. And you would do that by doing your last over your first. This one was nice. It's already partially factored. So first thing I'm going to do is take out an x. Left behind I have x minus 2. Then x squared minus 1 is a difference of squares. So I'm going to do x minus 2, x plus 2. And see what I can combine together. So x minus 2 shows up twice, which means it has a multiplicity of 2. You can leave your x out front, and then x plus 2 shows up once. So you can go ahead and plot your y-intercepts. I have 1 at 0 from that x term. I have 1 at positive 2 because of the x term. And I have 1 at negative 2 because of this guy. I also know that it opens up because there's no number out front, so I assume it's a positive 1. 0 has a multiplicity of 1, so it's going to pass right through. -2 also has a multiplicity of 1, so it's going to pass right through. And this guy bounces. So I use that in conjunction with your end behavior. So it goes from quadrant 2 to quadrant 1 because it's positive. Passes through -2. Turns around somewhere down here. You don't have to be very specific. Passes through my x term. Turns around somewhere. And since this has a multiplicity of 2, it bounces. So anything like this would be good. Someone might draw a really tall graph. That's also right. Okay, as long as you have these multiplicities and your end behavior is correct, then you're good. So that's actually the end of that question. Only other thing that could possibly show up would be a cubic polynomial. You need to know that a cubic multiplicity passes through, but it flattens out in the middle like this. So this would be like an x cubed term. And it would be negative because your end behavior is quadrant 2 to quadrant 4. So that would be nice to know, just in case it shows up. Next guy, exact opposite of what we just did. You are given a graph and you have to find the equation. Biggest mistake I see with this guy is that someone forgets that starting a value. That a value determines if it opens up or down, so you do need to include it because you need to solve for a eventually. So working backwards, start with your x-intercepts. I have 1 at -8, 1 at -3, 1 at +4. So -8 means it flips to a +8. -3 means it flips to a +3. +4 means that you leave it as a -4. And this 3 has a multiplicity of 2, so you need to put a square there. You don't need to put 1s there. You can if you want. It doesn't make a big difference. After I do this, this is only the start of your question. You need to solve for a by plugging in a point. They're giving you this point, so that's what I would plug in. I might not give you a point, and you would just have to pick it off your graph. So like a y-intercept would be a good place to find a point. So negative 25 equals a. Negative 3 plus 8. Oops, sorry, I did that wrong. That's positive 2. Positive 2 plus 8. Positive 2 plus 3. And then 2 minus 4. So I have negative 25 equals a times 10 times 25 times negative 2. Negative 25 equals a times negative 500. And then you got to see how many times when I divide by 500, negative 500, does 25 go into 500. So I have a equals negative 20 when you work it out, positive 20 when you work it out, because these two negatives cancel. That makes sense because your end behavior is quadrant 2 to quadrant 1. It has to be positive if it opens up. You're not done here. It's asking for the equation, so make sure you say your final answer in that form where a is filled in. And that's your solution. Beautiful. Last, guys, this cube one. I'm going to be honest, it's way too big for me to give it to you. Like, it's a lot of setting up and then a lot of solving. It's talking about volume, so you're multiplying all the sides together. So it's saying the volume is x, x plus 10, 2x plus 16. You would take this guy and plug it in. A good question could be, what is the volume of the box, like represented as a polynomial, and that would be the solution. You have to FOIL all this out. If you FOIL all this out, I'm just going to jump down and skip that step. 16x squared plus 20x squared plus 160x equals 1950. You would move your 1950 over and then factor it using your first over last method. So I wouldn't give you one where you have to set up and do it. I think it's too big for a midterm. It's too big of a question. So 36x squared plus 160x minus 1950 equals 0. I think a good starting point for if there was a question on the midterm would be here, and it would say find all the x-intercepts or find all the zeros and then graph it. That would be better because it's not so hefty. So you need to go through now and find all the possible terms first over last. Same thing, that's a huge number, so finding the terms is a little bit hard. The one that's given in the solution is 5. That one does work. I would once again make it really obvious. It would be 1 or 2 or 3. It wouldn't be anything like a half or 2 over 3 because they're too hard to fill out. Okay, my dog's barking. Give me a second. Okay, so we know that 5 works. Same thing, it's going to be a really obvious one. I have 2, 36, 160, and negative 1950 as my coefficients. When I go ahead and plug this in or do my synthetic, I carry my 2 down. 10, 46. 5 times 46 is 230, 390, and that gives me 1950, which is why I know it works. These numbers are really big. So 2x squared plus 46x plus 390. I'm factoring from there out. You can take out an x. I have x squared plus 23x plus 195. You can't factor this one really great because the number's so big. Same thing, I won't make it that big. If you did factor it and you went down to solve it, your final answer is x equals 5 is your solution. It is a nice question. Time-wise on a midterm, I don't think it would be there. And I made your midterm, so that's your hint. This unit, I would probably focus on the other 3 long answer questions. They were nice. But it is a nice question. It just won't be on your midterm. Okay, I will see you back for the next unit.